Many people today seem to be maturing very slowly or just not at all. Many reasons can be given for why that is, but one of them is the rapid spread of technology. It has led people to become too comfortable, self isolating, and just staring at their phones 24/7. This has led to a rapid decline in the collective maturity of our society, making social interaction and connecting with others much more difficult and challenging than it used to be. Before, people understood how to play the social game because there weren't many rules, and the existing rules were clear cut and obvious. People knew, more or less, what is considered desirable and appropriate behavior and what isn't. Today, however, that line has blurred and it has become more difficult to know how to play the social interaction game. What used to be considered appropriate is no longer appropriate, and what used to be considered inappropriate is now considered appropriate. Understandably, this has led many people to feel more anxious and confused because our nervous system hasn't mapped out the territory in order for us to know how to navigate it. Instead, it is running into too many social landmines, and so one becomes hypervigilant to not step on those landmines. After all, your body's goal is to help you survive, not to get you to step on those landmines and figure out where they're at and where they aren't. This causes an insurmountable amount of unpredictability, which makes regular day to day interaction much riskier and with higher amounts of negative consequences. For example, telling a woman, "You look very beautiful today," was considered one of the highest compliments she can receive. Today, that will get you labeled a predator and a conversation with HR and the police. All this chaos and randomness will cause people to withdraw into themselves more, and as a consequence, the only outlet for them would be interacting with others online. However, even there, they aren't 100% safe either. The constant monitoring and tone policing will make you think twice before you post a controversial comment that will upset many people, regardless of how reasonable your comment may be. You see, the reasonableness isn't determined by how factual and data driven your statement is, but rather by how other people feel about it. This makes the search for truth a risky venture rather than a noble one. Slowly but surely, lying becomes more virtuous than telling and living the truth. The way people feel will become infinitely more important than what the facts on the ground say. Feelings become the new facts on the ground. They become the main barometer through which we measure what is acceptable and what isn't. The problem with this approach, though, is that everyone has their own unique barometer, and you can see how this would cause many issues. Think of it like this. Imagine two teams are playing a game, but there aren't any specific rules all players have to follow. Instead, the rules are whatever you feel like they are. How fun and productive do you think such a game would be? This is what the current social climate is like, and it is very conducive to instilling and cultivating immature thought patterns and behaviors. You cannot mature properly if you have to filter everything through your own subjective experiences and feelings and treat them as valid as hard scientific facts. This is not how the world was built, and this is certainly not the way the world would be sustained, at least in a healthy way. I've personally observed this working in education as a teacher and in other roles for almost a decade. The students who tend to be the worst ones are the ones who think they know all the rules or who think the rules I explain don't matter or apply, at least not to them. They falsely believe that they are special and above the law, so to speak. But they quickly realize how foolish they are once they see the error of their thinking. This oftentimes manifests itself in anger, which also turns into defiance and defensiveness. This is a classic example of a very low level of maturity. But our society has this false idea that kids will be kids in every scenario, which is not true. Yes, at the end of the day, we cannot hold a 9-year-old to the same moral and intellectual standard as a 30-year-old. But they aren't completely immune to following expectations either. Teaching them that they can't because they're kids tells them that they are not responsible for their own behaviors and that the source of their misery stems from outside of them instead of inside. This creates a victim narrative in their minds where they use the victim card to escape any personal responsibility. And it's not so shocking that our society tends to encourage this victim mentality in general. One of the best ways to destroy any level of maturity one has is to tell them that they are always a victim of outside circumstances and that whatever wrong they do or encounter is 100% not their fault. It's a manipulative way to get them to calm down, but in reality, internally, it makes them more hopeless, angry, frustrated, depressed, anxious, and lonely. It is also more likely to radicalize them and, in extreme cases, make them extremely violent and end up in prison or lose their lives altogether. All of this can be avoided by growing up properly and taking responsibility for one's life. If this path is constantly avoided, then disaster is guaranteed to ensue. So that's it for this video. If you like this content, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, and share to get notified about more videos like this one. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.